and just casually drop 12 Nexus damage. For today's video, we're going to be taking a spin on the Veigar and Senna Darkness archetype. This is an archetype that I've been really enjoying so far since the expansion has launched, and so I'm going to go through the deck list, explain the way that I built it. I do not claim it's the best, but it is the way that I've been playing it. And then we're going to play a game. Unfortunately, it will likely be a singular game today because much like yesterday, I've got another physical therapy appointment, and that's going to eat into my normal recording time, and so I'm doing the best that I can. This is also a great time for me to remind you that I use time tags for my videos, so if you want to just jump ahead straight to the gameplay, you can do that. Also a fantastic time, I guess, to remind you, if you're new, consider subscribing, hit the like button, do all those normal YouTube things. They're free and they help me out. But with that out of the way, let's actually talk about the way that I built the deck. So right out of the gate, I'm running 3 copies of Fading Memories, and I'm doing this because it is very flexible in this deck. We can certainly use it to copy our opponent's nasty threats and get some value there, but we can also use it for really simple things like copying our darkness units, specifically these ones that when they're summoned, they create a darkness in hand, and so we always have a steady supply of darkness. We should almost never be without a darkness in our hand with this deck because of Fading Memories. Now, another interesting thing about Fading Memories specifically is it does create that card in your hand. It is a created card. And so we are running 2 copies of Hidden Pathways for some additional card draw, and it's one of the ways that we can hit this trigger. This is really easy to turn on in this list because we've got so many cards that create a darkness, and that counts towards reducing this cost, as well as the Fading Memories and so on and so forth. And so I'm running 3 copies of Memories. I've got Dark Bulb Acolyte. It's just a nice early game body, which gives us a darkness. Running 3 copies of Glimpse. This is for card draw, but this is also to help for the mirror and or other control matchups. Being able to deny an Ezreal target is as good as it's always been, but also when you're in the mirror and your opponent is targeting your units with their darkness, if you can use Glimpse and deny that hit, you are slowing down their ability to level up Veigar. And that's been pretty relevant for me when I run into the mirror. Twisted Catalyzer is here to get you that scaling damage on your darkness, which is very important. So it's a natural 3 of. Vile Feast, this is here for early control. I like having the Drain, the early chump blocker, and it's another body that we can use Glimpse on if we really need the card draw. Sentinel, early body plus darkness. I am running Robemaker. I didn't think I would like this card when I previewed it. I was kind of low on it, but the more I have played it, the better it seems to be, because these games do tend to go pretty long, and when you play even just one of these and you then get to play 2 or 3 or 4 darknesses even at that reduced cost, it really helps. And so I wasn't impressed at first, but so far the performance has kind of been better than I thought it was going to be, so it's staying in for now. We are of course running Veigar and Senna. It's kind of the darkness package of champions. 2 copies of Hidden Pathways. You could very well run this as a 3 of as well, but with us also running Glimpse, it felt like almost too much card draw. In fact, there's been plenty of games where I'm having to avoid overdrawing, because when you've got 5 draw 2s and you've got a bunch of cards that create a darkness in your hand, you really very rarely run out of resources. In fact, that's also one of the reasons why, just to kind of give you a heads up, for example, I am not running the landmark. Catalog is not included in my list right now, and I have not really needed it because we're running the Fading Memories, which I think is accomplishing the same thing that Catalog wants to do in this list, except for we get more versatility out of it because we get to create bodies as well. So far I have really felt comfortable using Fading Memories over Catalog. If you want to run Catalog, that's great. Go ahead and do it. I'm not your dad. But I will say that I don't think it's necessary, and I've won a couple of mirrors now where I was playing against somebody with Catalog and I still outvalued them just by going with the Fading Memories and kind of this raw, you know, draw package and everything else. And so just to give you a heads up, if you're wondering, hey, why is there no Catalog? It's because I haven't felt like I've needed it yet. Now, for our anti-aggro package, of course, we've got the Vile Feast, we've got all the darknesses we're creating, we've got the early blockers, but I am still also running 2 copies of Withering Wail and 2 copies of Withering Mist. Mist is much better now that we have Senna who can speed it up, but even if we have to play it at slow speed, it's a nice potentially, you know, drain 4. We also like that it deals 2 damage because there's a bit beefier of units kind of making their way into the meta right now. Draven and Scion is very popular. But with that being said, I think Withering Wail still has its place. If you find yourself against less go wide aggro, then you can certainly cut Withering Wail. But I've also been running into the occasional Azir Aurelia, the occasional elusives, etc., etc. And so this does some work as well. We have the Ixtali Sentinel. This is amazing in this list because we want the lifesteal, we want the darkness, and then late game it becomes another win condition for us. Even if we're struggling to get that Veigar to stick or level up, we still have this as an option to copy our enhanced darknesses on the enemy nexus. 3 copies of Minimorph, just because we also could argue that we want to run Vengeance in this slot, but Minimorph is just perfect for the mirror, if I'm being honest. Being able to immediately silence an enemy champion so that they don't get that, like, I cast something in response. Like if they play a Veigar and they've got a Senna on the board, so their darkness is fast speed, and you try to Vengeance and then they darkness your nexus in response, that feels bad. Minimorph just at burst speed says no, and you can do the same thing to Nasus. You can do the same thing to Ezreal. If you see them play an Ezreal and the priority comes back to you, you burst speed Minimorph their Ezreal and they just kind of lose their win condition without any say-so. And so that's why we're running Minimorph over something like Vengeance. And then a one of Decinata. I will say this, I like this card a lot, and in theory it's amazing in this list, but it's also really buggy right now. So I'm running it as a one of, but I need you to know ahead of time that there are some very wonky interactions, and they will likely be fixed in the future, but just keep that in mind. If you want to cut this, then you can throw in more defense, whether that is more life gain here or more card draw. So that's entirely fine. But this is the list. As always, deck code will be in the video description. Link to Mobalytics will be in the video description. And now let's go see it in action. All right, I have to say that I am intrigued now. Absolutely intrigued. I love the Caitlyn being paired with something not Teemo, just because I think there's a lot of versatility in that particular champion. And so in this matchup, it's interesting. I really like Minimorph. Obviously, Senna's good. I don't think we want this in the starter. We definitely want Catalyzer. I'm just questioning whether or not we want to keep the Minimorph, because we don't really need it for either of these champions. They're small enough that our traditional removal makes sense. And so I think we send all of this back, just looking for more like early game options, and we'll just trust that we'll draw a Senna when we need it. And so this looks much better in regards to openers for us. We get a Minimorph back anyway, but we want this to land and to start getting damage in. We expect this to just be eaten by a Mystic Shot whenever it comes down, but I think that it's something that you still got to do.
Give me your malice creatures of
Now
doom.
we could just immediately die to flash bombs. If we're really unlucky, we could have an immediate death to flash bombs, but we just go straight into the open attack because, again, we are trying to draw out the removal. Instead, it ends up being the Piltover, which is unfortunate for us, but we'll go ahead and create our first darkness. At some point, we need to get Veigar up and running, but we're going to want to do it when things are a bit safer. So it's not likely going to be this round. If they go with the open attack, we have the Vile Feast, which leaves us with 3 mana that will likely bank for use with our darkness if they play something else. So like in this instance, we'll go like this, just kind of preemptively, because this will give us a 1/1 potential blocker. And then we'll worry about setting up Veigar later.
Hot on the trail.
Well, it's unfortunate. Not a lot we can do to stop that connection at the moment. Again, we have the darkness, but I think we just pass here.
One step ahead.
And we will soak the damage.
The trap is set.
We will just soak the damage, and we're gonna see if we can get this trade. We'd love to develop Veigar, but we have to remember that we've already got 6 flash bombs coming in the very near future. And so in many ways, we're kind of trying to keep our board a little bit clear. We might even just go for a darkness into a sentinel as a replacement here.
You dropped something.
Oh, well, we're gonna lose, I think, one of our sentinels there. Yeah, it's unfortunate. So we're gonna put our damage here. We're gonna play our sentinel and we'll bank the 2. Now the 2 is nice because when they swing, we can still deny the strike from her.
Let's investigate.
Which is the way that I think we want to go here. Now, they could have removal to shut this down, but we're still denying the strike either way. They're just denying the card draw, and we've got plenty of card draw, so I think we're fine with that. Get another Veigar. And a Senna. So we've got our main tools. Just have to figure out how we want to develop them. But I think for now we're gonna get this Caitlyn out of the way. All right, so we have 7 flash bombs, and so even though we could develop a unit here, I think we just pass and bank our spell mana. We want to see if we can let some of these traps trigger first. Because like we have no units there on the board, right? So that works out beautifully for what we are trying to do.
Big head, big brain.
I think we have something on that case.
All right, so they go with that. We've got the Senna and or the Veigar, but I think we still try to get this strike.
Go away.
We're gonna make a copy of this because when it dies, we want to be able to use this to increase our darkness again in the future. And we're gonna likely play a Veigar here and watch it die. But we need to bait removal out of them somehow, and so I think that this is the right time to do it.
I smell a rat.
And so we're gonna go ahead and do this as well, because we've got plenty of ways to make those. We've got some Vile Feast answers for this. They've got the aloof, which will again hit one of these, but I think we're fine with losing those at the moment. We're not in danger of like losing Senna. Oh, now we'll just lose the Decinata. So this is a bit unfortunate with our timing, but we could go with an Event Horizon. I think it's probably better to just try to get these answers in. We're only net taking 1 damage when we do this, which I think is fine. And with them having copied this, I think we have to assume that's what they're going for on their end. And again, we could lose our Veigar here with 2 flash bombs left. We're gonna play the Senna. They got plenty of ways that they can potentially nuke it, but by playing her 1, we give ourselves a darkness, and 2.
I have something very special planned.
All right, so they are going to be planting the bombs. Interesting. Looking to kill that Veigar, but we do still get the round start, so we're going to be up to 5, which is very nice.
Witness true power. Eye forward.
All right, and so we want to do it like this because she's going to give us another darkness when we declare the attack.
Keep your
And so by putting this on the stack, we just go ahead and replace it. We don't get the damage, but we get exactly what we're looking for there, and our Veigar will level up as well, which is very, very good for us.
Make the hurt your weapon.
So we are now in position to really just kind of start dropping some massive bombs.
This will be my magnum opus.
Oh, they're going with the plant again. How interesting. We are going to make our darkness be a little bit cheaper here while giving us some more health to potentially soak the bombs. And we're going to wait and see what they have going as well, but we're in a relatively good spot here. Not quite overdrawing yet. And not quite losing a unit yet, but our darkness are now up to 6 and counting. We're going to lose the Des and Ada. And unfortunately, we lose that Veigar, but we have the backup, which is not the end of the world. This can do 6 to an enemy, and then this will replace it. But we do also have the option of playing this and the Ixtali into a darkness on their Nexus, which would be for a total of 12. So I think we're going to start with the Ixtali. We also get the lifesteal, which is just nice defensively.
Observe and go.
All right, so
Strut, Lord Veigar.
we'll go ahead and drop our Veigar again. Probably going to lose our Senna this next round, but I think we're fine with that. Oh, we're going to just lose it right now, huh? We're just going to take this opportunity while we can still play them at fast speed. And just casually drop 12 Nexus damage.
That's it.
And so as long as our Veigar
According to plan.
survives here, we should be in an okay position. We've got a healthy number of flash bombs coming up, which is concerning. Like, we could low roll that, but we're not in danger, I don't think, of dying here, because we can do this for simple trades. And so with the flash bombs, unless they just all trigger and all land on Veigar. Now they could also have like another chunk of removal here as well, which would be bad, but
I understand.
oh, well, that's actually unfortunate for us because we wanted to Fading Memories that, but we can deal 7 right now to the Nexus, which I think we have to take, and then we just have to figure out how to go wide after that. But I think that you do this while you still have the capability to put it on the stack, and then they will have to have like an immediate answer for the Veigar, because otherwise we'll just create more. We haven't seen any Twisted Fates from them yet. Both players draw 2. I guess is fine. I mean, we're at pretty low cards, so maybe they're either trying to mill us, or maybe they've got like Mystic Shot in hand and they needed a flash bomb to trigger. It's also entirely possible. But again, now granted, part of it is the Hexcore Foundry, but we've just not been hurting for cards
Closing in on the mark. No backup needed.
at all this matchup. So they're going to play the Caitlyn.
Hot on the trail.
Makes it a little bit difficult for us to attack into, but again, they have to have an answer for the Veigar, like right now, because the minute we can put this on the stack. Then we probably, all right, so here's going to be multi options. Oh, they're going to do the 2 and then try to get the trigger. Which is interesting because then we also could just draw into another Veigar, but we're going to overdraw. Unless we get cards out of our hand, and all the cards that we could get out of our hand eat all of our mana, which is interesting. I think we just do this while we're at it. I think we expect Veigar to die here. Yep, and we're okay. So we just needed our Veigar here to not be the card we overdraw. So we made room, properly played around potential disaster. Should hopefully be rewarded. We're gonna wait and see. Obviously they can flood their board here to try to go for an open attack of some sorts, but oh, the whale would have been nice. With the open attack, we can block Karina. Take 5. They could have a lot of burn in hand.
I'm always up for a round or two. Dead.
All right, so we let that go. And we just need some blockers here, huh?
Only I can command darkness. Only I.
We're really just trying to get some blockers down while keeping the 6 mana available if we can help it. Because if they go below where we think they can kill Veigar, because our issue is without Senna, we can't stick this on the stack fast enough, right? Like that's the real concern that we would have in that regard. So if we do this, we go down to 6 and we would be worried about what, like double get excited? Which would be bad. We also, like, we could block something and mini morph this, which blocks 3, 6, and so it ends up being the exact same result. And so I think we just have to do this and pray that it's not double get excited, actually. Since we do not have a Vile Feast available. So we do this because if they do attempt like double get excited, then we have a shot to draw into an answer. And this is interesting. We have 9 cards left to their 11. So if we play Veigar right now and they have double get excited, then we just lose. And we haven't seen any. And I would have to assume that they're running them. So that becomes the question of, like, do you think you can risk it? I think the answer is no. I think we just go ahead and we come to this round. We just really need to find a way to get that little bit of damage in. And we don't have a great way to do it. Guess we can slow play with a darkness here. Make some room in our hand. See if we can get them to spend some mana.
Nothing's more exciting than an unsolved mystery.
And again, we need 6 total to work with the Veigar. And so we could go like this as a stall tactic as well.
Well, what have we here?
All right. We are again in a position where we could potentially go for it. And we would immediately lose to the double get excited. But the problem here is if they've got double get excited, we probably just lose anyway. And if they don't have it, then we at least have a shot at winning. And the reason I say we probably lose anyways is because the attack this next round, no matter what we do here, like we have to be able to stop the attack, which means spending mana. And so
Veigar?
Oh, hello, Caitlin. I didn't see you down there.
we do this and we pray. We really wish we had a Vile Feast here. All right, there's a Rummage. So now they can't double get excited. So now we just need the Veigar to survive. So we're gonna go for it here. And we land it! Nail Biter. Okay, well, as you can see, you scale the darkness, you shoot the Nexus. I think that's a great one. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. I'm really sincerely sorry that I cannot jam more games for today's video. But this week, and honestly for the next couple of weeks, I've got a lot going on in terms of physical therapy, and it is impacting my ability to record, but I'm having a lot of fun with the set and I still want to put out videos. So I'm doing my best, gang. I normally do 2 games per video, but we're just going with the one. I love you all. Thank you for watching. If you're new, consider subscribing. I know I said that at the beginning, but I'm supposed to say it often or whatever. Anyway, until next time, may you walk on warm sands.